Hello everybody, welcome to Rewrite Your Reality with Reese. I am your host, and on today's video, your mind and the divine mind are one. And I just made this pictogram expression to explain it very, very simply. And you'll see why. You see, this is how we typically see reality. This is how we typically experience the world. And when you are in that unconscious state, you momentarily slipping into it, right? Maybe more than momentarily. You have thoughts. You have thoughts about everything. You have thoughts about this, you have thoughts about that, you have thoughts about what you are thinking about, you have thoughts about what you are thinking about and you are thinking about it. You have thoughts about your feelings, you have thoughts about your desired end, you have thoughts about your dreams, you have thoughts about whether you can or cannot experience your dreams. And then you have thoughts about what you think God thinks about your thoughts about what you are thinking. Endlessly, right? Endless thoughts about endless things endlessly. And then you try and figure out, well, which ones ones are God's? Which one is God going to accept as his? Which one, blah, 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 right? And you are sitting there. And that's what you really think your world is. You are a separate being in your world and God is somewhere else hearing your thoughts because God's omnipotent, omnipresent, and omnidirectional, or whatever the other one is. Right? And that's really how we feel things. But it's not accurate at all. It's an experience, otherwise I wouldn't be able to depict it. It's an experience that we have thoughts, and then we wonder which one is how we're supposed to think. And then here's the thing, we try to get our thoughts in line with some arbitrary other thought, which is what we think the line is. Then we can manifest what we want. Then we can be who we desire to be. But that's not how it is. What if we move to the idea that your mind is happening in the divine mind? They are one. They're exactly the same. You say, how can my mind be exactly the same as the divine mind? I have all of these thoughts. Some of them are quite ridiculous in nature. Some of them I don't like. They cause me to feel fearful and doubtful and angry and all of these other things. Some of them are quite nice. Some of them are quite lovely and loving. Like a wonderful advert that sells toilet paper and there's like a cute little dog and little baby walking around. It's all nice and fluffy and all of those things, right? There's nothing else though. You see, your mind and God's mind works like this. God's mind is being everything. God is not thinking. God doesn't think about its thoughts. God is the knowing of all of its thoughts simultaneously without context between them. Because there's no context between them. They are just thoughts. They are just there. They are images of itself. They are images that create the totality of what it is, and what it is continuously expanding because it's infinite. But as it expands, it's also finished. Because it's not expanding something to give something else context, it's just expanding in and of itself. It's not thinking about its thoughts. Imagine for the moment the idea of every thought you have ever had just there. Not feeding itself, not giving into itself, not describing itself, nothing, just there. Even the descriptions of thoughts, they are just there. A dictionary of yourself. No context, no time between them, just it. That's what God is. God is all that and so much more that I can't even describe, because I would need God's awareness completely to describe itself. But that's what we are here for. We are God's first creation as itself experiencing itself. Now you see, those same thoughts are the ones you are thinking. We are the ones that give it story. We are the ones that say, well, this thought is not like God, this thought is like God, this thought is serving me, this thought's not serving me, but none of them are actually any different than any other. They all literally exist in God's mind. We are experiencing them in the way that we are consciously or unconsciously choosing to experience them, but ultimately, it's just the way God experiences itself. By filtering out itself, and you are the way it filters itself by what you are consciously choosing to now be aware of. So be aware that you are everything, filtering out something so you can know yourself as that everything. Essentially, you as God are using yourself to understand yourself with the only substance that exists, yourself. You are using yourself to know yourself with yourself by experiencing it as yourself. Let that bit sink in. You are using yourself to know yourself by filtering out everything to explain yourself to you, yourself, as yourself. Yes, it's very self-serving because there is only the self. So all of those rectangular images that are there that represent different moments of our life, scene, are literally the divine mind as that scene expressing itself. And how do we know that this is true? How do we know that we can do this? Because I wouldn't be able to explain it if the actual images of this specific explanation explaining what God is did not exist. But because they can be strung together in the specific way and infinite other ways, not just the ones I'm presenting, but the way that anyone can present, including yourself, they can be strung together in this way, explaining what I'm explaining. And I didn't pull it out of nothing. I had an idea, and the idea kind of just expanded because it already existed like that. So the existence of the explanation already existed, explaining itself of what itself is as creation as itself. It's a self-serving explanation of what it is. I wouldn't be able to string it together if it weren't already strung together. And now, removing the body and our body from it completely, because the body doesn't matter in this thing. It's happening within that circle, not actually outside the circle. And God's body is, God doesn't have a body. God's body is us, is us. Not this, but the reality. Each one of those is a point of consciousness. Each one of those is infinity. Each one of those is exactly the same large circle knowing itself from its specific point of view of what it is currently being aware of. We can say that it's a person when we're looking at it, but it wouldn't really be accurate. You see, each one of those is the knowing of infinity as infinity, focused on a physically focused viewpoint. So while it is not only a singular person, it is all of reality focused as that person, but not necessarily as that person, as the infinite lives that person can be living and is living. So while one of those consciousnesses is you, another one is another person, but it's not focused on being that person alone. It's focused on being all of reality as the infinity of that person. So you'll never see that person experiencing infinity. You are experiencing infinity and your infinite lives, and whatever life is matching with a version of them that already exists, you have that within your reality and you are experiencing that. Another point of consciousness has that reality within it as well, because it is all of reality also, but it's experiencing the infinite versions of itself as that person in the infinite lives it's experiencing. That's why you never have to worry about anybody or whatever anyone else is doing, because that's not your reality. Your reality is what you are choosing to be focused on, because you are the divine center. While all of them are the divine center, all of them are in the center of the circle of the great awareness, because there's no endpoint, there's no boundary, but I need a boundary here to explain it. You see, there's no boundary, there's no circumference, there's nothing. It's only an idea. But from your point of view, you are the dead center. You are the dead center of the divine mind and the totality of the divine mind as well. That middle circle is exactly the same as the bigger one. It's only greater in awareness, but I'm using size as a way to explain it. Remember, again, I'm just going to explain this bit again. You have every single physically focused point of consciousness within your reality experience, within your awareness. Every other point of consciousness also has it. So you are in every one of those. Your physically focused self is in every one of those consciousnesses, either being experienced from that consciousness point of view or not simultaneously. So it's all being it, because it's one consciousness. But from your point of view, you are only experiencing what you want to be experiencing, and things that you may not want to be experiencing but are still one with you. That's really the point here. So no matter what you are experiencing, you are one with it, but you are the one calling what you are choosing to now be aware of and experience it that way. So you're never disturbing anything, because all points of consciousness exist not necessarily on its own, but its own point of view that you don't have any power over whatsoever. But you have absolute power over your point of view, which is still containing everything and is everything. So from your point of view, you have these referred to as film rolls of lives that you could be living. And those film rolls consist of frames that make up stories, and those stories make up identity. Your identity is always changing. Your identity is always shifting. Even if it is shifting into the same identity you are not choosing to be aware of, as in the identity of I am living my dream life, whatever that means to you. Because whatever that means to you is always changing. In every single moment, your identity of I am living my dream life is changing, so that core belief in I am is not changing, right? That core belief in I am is what's there. Then I am something, I am living my dream life, I am with my specific person, I am blah, blah, blah. What that is referring to is always changing, but what you believe as it is not, or is. As in, I am that. I am what I'm referring to. I am what I'm dreaming of. I am what I'm contemplating. And as you contemplate it more, as you experience it more, as you accept it continuously, you are continuously shifting as I am, as whatever you are choosing to now consciously be aware of. And every single time you do that, you're changing the film role in every single moment according to what your belief is, according to what you are choosing, according to what you are and have decided to now be. So your present moment is always changing, so your past and your future must always be changing, because the entire film role changes moment to moment to moment. Even if it changes to something similar, it's completely different because it's a new assumption. Even if it's similar to the assumption you think you previously had. Because I am, and the assumption again, I am, and the assumption again, I am, while it is the same assumption, the assumption is greater than what it was before, because you are newer in awareness, you are becoming a new version of yourself, you are realizing more of yourself in this now moment and then in this now moment. So the assumption actually changes the script entirely, even if it's still to you the same assumption that I am just living my dream life. I am literally that reality experience of what I desire. I am that. It's what I'm consciously choosing to be aware of. And I'm just knowing it more. You're shifting. Every single point of consciousness, not necessarily only the person that you're looking. A person is projected from a point of consciousness, but that person is not the whole point of consciousness. Kind of they are, because everything is God and you can't split God up. But I'm saying as an idea, that physically focused person is a snapshot of what consciousness is being. Every single moment, you're seeing another version of them. How do you know that? Because in every single moment, you are another version of you. And if you are another version, there must be another version. So is the rest of reality, because in your reality, it's always a new version. And every single point of consciousnness has infinite lives, infinite identities, always shifting, always changing, but you only ever need to be aware of yours. Because you're not changing or having to be aware of anything. So when you're being aware of yours, you are being aware of everything. When you're being aware of your reality, when you're being aware of who you say you are seeing infinite versions of everybody else that just refers to you. So even if you were wondering about someone else's point of consciousness, it's not separate from you either. It's still your point of consciousness, because there's only one consciousness, God, and that's you. So whichever one you think you are that. Because you are it, because you are consciousness. Again, I'm going to say this again. I know it can seem a little confusing. Your bubble is the entirety of reality. So every physically focused point of view, every physically focused person of yourself and everyone else exists in your awareness. Another point of consciousness has that, but it's physically focused on being another person and infinite versions of those people. And you exist physically in relation to that person in their reality as well. But you are not conscious of being any of those. You are conscious of being who you are. So you have versions of them that also relate to you. So you will never mess up anything. You never have to worry about what happened because it's gone. You never have to worry about what will happen. You never get there. You only ever have to know and choose who you are right now, because that's exactly who you are. Closing off here, all of them are the divine mind. So realization is that there's no second authority outside my or your own awareness. There is no external God deciding whether I can have this, be this, know this, choose this, or assume this. Those thoughts are all God, and you are deciding which one's true. But they're all true as an experience. The only true thought is that I am all of them, and I can decide that, no, I am that. I am this person. It's just here. It's just mine. It's just this. It's just who I am now. The thought itself is the divine mind appearing as thought, deciding for itself whether or not the thought is real for you or not. Whether or not it is humble or arrogant or narcissistic or worthy or true or able or whatever. But those thoughts have no authority. You are deciding whether it's true for you or not. And all of it's nonsense. You are who you desire to be. You don't have to worry about any other singular point of consciousness whatsoever. The fact that you feel something about those other people, those other points of consciousness, that's just compassion for itself, wanting to see itself greater. The desire itself is the divine mind appearing as desire. The question itself is the divine mind appearing as inquiry. The answer itself is the divine mind appearing as recognition, as the answer for you to just know the answer, thereby knowing more of yourself. See, the answer didn't solve the question. The question was more awareness of yourself. The answer was more awareness of yourself. You didn't solve anything. You didn't get an answer to help do anything. You just became more aware of yourself. A version of you who knows that. A version of you who knows the question. A version of you who knows the answer. A version of you who knows both. You're just becoming more aware of yourself. You're not taking anything anywhere. It's not helping you in your life because it doesn't do anything. And as you become more and more aware of yourself, the divine mind is becoming more and more aware of itself through you, because you are the divine mind. That's how it knows itself. And it's not necessarily unaware of itself, but it can't experience itself because it is everything. It's like you're asking a library to experience all the books it has. It can't. It just is all the books it has. It needs someone to read it and experience it from a certain point of view. You are the reader of yourself while being one with the library. And the divine mind is not lacking anything. It just is everything. So it doesn't really care how you go about experiencing yourself, whether you think it's good or bad, whether you think it's right or wrong. It doesn't quite care, because you're only ever using itself to decide that. So it's probably being all possible versions of I am. So when I say I am is the only story you ever need to tell, it is literally the only thing that is true. And you can choose, not as a tiny person begging reality to change, but as the awareness deciding what it is. I am loved, I am chosen, I am whole, I am the one who has it, I am the one who knows it, I am the one who is it. I am the divine mind appearing as this point of consciousness. And again, and it is a choice to see it that way. So choose to see it that way. And I am Reese. This is Your Reality with yours truly. Thank you so much for joining me today. Thank you for the questions as well. I'll get to them as well in upcoming videos. Much love, much light. Thank you for liking, thank you for sharing, thank you for joining, thank you for commenting, thank you for questioning, thank you for questioning with me, thank you for the TikTok following, thank you for the Facebook following, and I will see you all in the next one.